Welcome back to the program. In a previous episode with James Fern on our 8 Rules of Financial Success series, we discussed how to set up an emergency fund. Ideally, your emergency fund should be worth at least 3 months of your income. This can be used to cover your monthly expenses should anything happen to regular income stream, such as a job. This evening, James talks to us about owning your home and the best strategy to use to make that happen quicker, especially if you've taken out a loan from a financier.
Now, there are 2 ways that you're going to be able to own your own home. Number 1, you're going to build it brick by brick. Number 2, you're going to go out and get a mortgage and buy it and pay off that mortgage brick by brick, month by month. So you need to consider what makes sense for you. But once I'm going to give you the argument for taking out a mortgage. When you're in that house and you're making that mortgage payment every month, you're not making the rent payment every month. You're not renting from somebody else. All you're doing is you're paying down that mortgage instead of paying rent. And part of that mortgage payment is the interest that the bank charges you. Part of that payment is capital. And every time you pay that bit of capital, you own a bit more of your house. Make a plan to own the house that you live in, to own the house that protects you and yours. And I'd suggest 5-year plan.
I want to believe that, after having other conversations with different people in the financial space, that people are more inclined to go for a personal loan, which is an unsecured loan, over a mortgage. Why do you think that is, and why are you advocating so much for a mortgage over a personal loan?
So a mortgage is quite often harder to get for people because the bank is using the home as collateral. They want all the paperwork for the house, that they're going to use as collateral. And there might be terms and conditions attached. It's relatively easy to get a mortgage on a property in Gabs. It's quite difficult to get a mortgage on a property out in the bush somewhere. But the main reason why people go for a personal loan is they're easy to get quickly. It goes to a lender. The lender just looks at, well, what are they earning? What is their existing debt? And they go, yeah, sure, this is what you can afford. And they lend the money. They don't look at the terms and conditions. So if you're paying, perhaps you'd be paying 10% interest per year on a mortgage, whereas the same person would be paying 20 to 25% interest per year on a personal loan. That's a massive difference. Why that difference? Because the lender is taking more risk on the unsecured personal loan. People can walk away from an unsecured personal loan, and that lender is going to have to employ a lawyer to go and chase after them and attach the goods from their house to pay back the loan. Whereas people don't tend to walk away from mortgages. Once you own that house, you're staying there and you're paying down that mortgage over time. So it's a lot lower risk for the lender, which means they don't need to charge as high an interest rate.
Let me understand something here. You're advocating also for a 5-year plan, right? Maybe another person is looking at a personal loan that it's usually 5-6 years, right? Over a mortgage, which you would be obligated to pay that off in a much longer time. How then do you make the argument that a mortgage is better than a personal loan in that regard?
Okay, don't get me wrong. The bank will lend you a mortgage over a short period of time. So if you take an amount of money, you're borrowing $1 million pooler, sure, you go and get a personal loan for that. Pay it off over 5 years. But if you went and got a mortgage for that and paid that off over 5 years, you'd be paying much less in interest. It would be lower cost to you. The difference is the bank tries to push you into 20, 25-year mortgages. Don't be pushed. I personally believe that the sweet spot for a mortgage is 10 to 15 years. The difference in affordability, your monthly repayment on a 15-year mortgage, isn't that much different to a 20-year mortgage. But the total amount you repay over a 20-year mortgage is probably 25% more, because you're paying for that extra 5 years at about the same amount. So shop around. Talk to your bank, say, well, if I borrowed it over 10 years, how much would it cost me? If I borrowed it over 15 years, how much would it cost me? And make sure you're comparing apples with apples. So if you're looking at a personal loan, an unsecured loan, talk about, well, how much would I need in mortgage for the same amount and the same time? Compare the two. And what you'll find is the mortgage is a lot cheaper because the interest burden is less, because the lender is taking less risk on you.
James returns next time to talk about how to take care of your money. This program was brought to you in association with First National Bank of Botswana.